Uh, Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the New Era Paranormal podcast. This week we have JD, the group's president, and Irene Achilles hosting the show. The guest for this week's podcast episode is Mandy Cummings with the Ghost Sisters Paranormal Group. Can you tell us about how the group got started?
I started Ghost Sisters back in 2017 in October, and uh, I what got it started was I wanted to go to the Mansfield prison here in Ohio, and I didn't have nobody to go with me, and I had my sister join me. So um, it was after that investigation I decided to start up Ghost Sisters, and I was working in law enforcement at the time. I worked in law enforcement for almost 8 years, and I was doing paranormal investigations while I was still working in law enforcement. So, I just decided, that I wanted to form a group, and I did. And I've had other women on the team along the way, but never had it just me and my sisters until about a year or so ago. Then it officially just became where it was just my biological sisters. So
You told your story, your experience at Mansfield with, was it with the Ghost Brothers?
yes, and that because of me going there before I started my team, and I worked in law enforcement at that time, I captured a apparition walking, and we believe it was the guard. Pretty sure it was the guard, and so that ended up landing me on the Ghost Brothers. Probably about, I'd say, 5 years after having the team out there. A friend of mine was working for the Ghost Brothers at the time, and she knew that I had been to Mansfield prison and I had captured something when I was working in law enforcement. Because they weren't wanting paranormal investigators at the time when the show was still going. They just wanted someone who had worked in law enforcement and been to the location and captured something. So that worked
Oh,
out good.
wow. Yeah, that works out. And I saw it's on your Facebook page. So you have, it's pinned on your Facebook page with, and I saw the image. It's the shadow
Yeah.
man walking along the back of the hallway. It
There
was,
was
it looked legitimate, pretty legitimate.
there's actually two. And there was one at the end of the hallway walking, and then there was the shadow man in the middle of the hallway.
Oh,
But
wait,
they,
that was, oh, I thought that
yeah,
was, oh,
yeah,
that's even
there was two.
better.
But they never announced it on the show. I don't know why, but they did it.
Oh, I just thought maybe that was an anomaly, like a shadow from somebody in the video because they didn't say anything. So that's pretty cool. So those that they were both that's so go to their Facebook page and check it out, Ghost Sisters Facebook page, where it's a pretty cool piece of evidence.
Yeah, so what all does the Ghost Sisters do? Do you guys create media? Do you run events?
We don't go to a lot of the paracons and set up events. Um, I mean, we've done events at haunted locations. I think it was only one other time in Ohio. Um, we set up in our hometown and we sell our merch, and I do my readings. It's not a paracon, but it's a festival that's really well known in our hometown, and we've been doing that for 4 years. We're the only team that sets up, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
So
we
you do so you're oh sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say we're on all social media. When we go live, we're live on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. Those are our main platforms that we're live on.
So you're also an intuitive medium.
Yes, I'm an intuitive medium, and I'm also a Reiki practitioner.
Oh, very cool. Do you do Reiki when you're at the events as well, or just straight readings?
No, it's just my mediumship or tarot.
Ah,
It's,
okay. When did you have your first experience in terms of when you knew you were, well, we know about Mansfield, but when you knew you were a medium?
I would say I started noticing things when I was probably like maybe 9 or 10. Throughout my teenage years, I would hear things, feel things. But it wasn't until I was probably 18 or 19 when I started really like, I just knew something was going on, and I didn't understand why it was happening to me. I had all kinds of different supernatural things happening. It's it's kind of hard to explain because my brother had passed away when I was young, and it seemed like he was following me around, and he was the one communicating with me with my electronics. So it just seemed like everywhere I lived, I would either have my brother communicating with me, or it was other spirits, coming around. But I didn't know I was a medium at the time until later on when my daughter started experiencing things when she was young. And I had to get help from a guy over in Ireland. And he helped me out. And he told me, he's like, "You're a natural medium. That's why you've been having all these experiences." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Well, kind of makes sense, I guess. They're drawn to me for whatever, you know."
Yeah.
And so anyway, he said, "I can help you, Mandy, which then you'll be able to help your daughter." So he helped me for a year, and I was able to somewhat help my daughter. I still can't help her out. She doesn't like it at all. She doesn't want no part of it, but there's nothing she can really do because it's just there for her.
Yeah. Well, it's good that she has you though to like you've embraced yourself, so it's helping you to help her embrace herself. And she'll come
Yeah,
to it when she's ready, right? Just like all of us, right?
she sees them a lot, but
Oh, so she's a
but
strong clairvoyant. Oh,
yeah,
that's
she is. But she hears them too, and she's always messaging me. Hey, this happened. I don't know what to do, or the kids are hearing this. Just all kinds of stuff going on, and I'm like, well, it ain't nothing to worry about. You'll be fine. You know?
that's good. That's good she has you.
Yeah.
With your other sisters being involved in the paranormal, do they seem to have any sensitivity or attributes?
I would say my sister Chastity. Yeah, she's somewhat sensitive. She doesn't know how to tap in. She's if something happens, I mean, she notices it though right away. She'll feel something grab her hair or something. Now, Bobby Joe, the youngest, she is a skeptic, but she's starting to question things because she has been experiencing, like, she's actually seen some spirits and heard them, and she doesn't know what to think. So it's almost like now she's starting to become a skeptic slash somewhat of a believer. So,
That's how it happens, right?
yeah.
They force you to believe at some point.
Yes.
Is there one in particular that really kind of pushed her?
Yes, at my mother's house, she's had a lady that just keeps waking her up, and she's seen the lady, and she's heard the lady talking to her,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, so she she don't know what to think about it. But it's not happened to her when she's out there investigating. She hasn't experienced it out there in the fields. So
Interesting. So it's almost like she has her guard up when she's out in the field more than when she's at home.
she probably does because we're live, and she doesn't. I don't know. She doesn't. I'm sure if she's seen something, she would probably say it out loud though, or heard something.
That's pretty cool. So you've investigated a lot of places uh, around Ohio, I've noticed, but you've also kind of gone out of state as well. What's your most memorable experience so far?
Oh, I've got so many. There's so many. We do travel all over the states. Um, oh man. Well, I will say there's a location in Tennessee, and I always talk about it because I've had the most crazy things happen there. And there's also another one in Missouri. Cooper Hill is another. I've had some good experiences there too. But the shrine, the Uber Shrine, is a very unique place. I've actually seen things there. I had a door rattling there. I've had spirits talk to me when I'm there. I've been touched there. I mean, yeah. um,
Wow.
at the Cooper Hill location, Cooper Hill Village in Missouri, I oh, it was crazy. I got a loud thump, and it sounded like something loud had fell over, and nothing fell. When we went looking all over the house, nothing. So I've had all kinds of strange things happen out there, but yeah, those two locations are my most memorable ones.
Interesting, very interesting. Have you ever experienced anything negative?
Yes, yeah, I have. They followed me from the Yuba Shrine. Now, the Yuba Shrine is a place. This isn't a place that's an abandoned place. It's a place that is still open. They practice rituals there. They have witches there. They have portals there. They have a dragon portal table there, and anything is welcome through it. I actually just filmed a documentary there with Shane Pittman and Sean Austin and Josh Purvis, and check that out on Scare Network TV because that's where you'll find it at. I've been posting on Ghost Sisters teaser trailers of what we just filmed, and we captured some amazing things there. But this location, it has so much history there, and it's got true crime. And but the thing about it is, it's not an abandoned place. It's a place that's happening now. It's ongoing rituals. Um, it's got a little bit of everything that paranormal investigators love: dark, light, whatever, good, elementals, whatever you name it. It's at this location.
And having like portals, it's continuously changing. The experiences could be one way one day and the completely different experience the next time you're there.
Yes, yeah. This place is it's very active. And I had something bad follow me from there. And it caused chaos in my life for a week. And
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it was bad. It was so bad that we ended up doing a podcast, radio talk show when we got back from there. And whatever this thing was, people could hear it growling on the podcast. They were freaking out. They were like, you ladies might want to save yourselves. I'm like, we just got back from this location and we were still new to the location. And I had that, whatever it was, followed me. And I heard it growling at me. I heard knocks. I had 3 knocks going. My daughter
Oh.
was seeing this dark thing. All week was bad luck for me there from that thing. And I actually cut up some lemons and sat it in my house in the most negative, where I felt the most negative energy, and it absorbed all that negative energy. It was awful. I mean, the lemon turned dark, and I saged constantly. I probably saged about 2 or 3 times a week because I was freaking out. I mean, this thing was
Yeah.
growling at me. It was waking me up, and I was causing my husband to. I was probably stressing him out because, this thing was freaking me out.
Do you think there was anything like during your investigation that may have led to that?
Yeah, it was our first time going to the location, and I did some spiritual writing. I was channeling with a girl that was said to have been hitchhiking at this location, and one of the uncles had picked her up, and they believe something happened to her. I didn't know anything about that. No one told me anything, and I don't like to know anything when I go to a location.
Right, yeah.
Well, I think I made something mad, so I don't know. I just kept channeling with spirits, and I don't think they were liking it, and something followed me for sure.
That's crazy. I mean, it happens. It's
But
scary.
it went back. Yeah,
It went back?
or it went somewhere. I don't know. It went somewhere because I got rid of it. It took me about a week, but I got rid of it.
That's good. Thank goodness.
Yeah, the mix can definitely create some chaos and danger. Having portals and then a very dark history on top of that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then a
Yeah,
crime aspect too. That's a
well,
lot.
he deals with the yin and the yang, so he's constantly balancing the location, and so like one side is for the living and one side is for the dead. It is a very unique place. You guys got to check out the videos of that location.
Yeah.
But we are Ghost Sisters are ambassadors of the shrine, and we have been for about 4 years now. And we always spend the night at that location when we go. And I mean, the owner, it was his family that owned it since he was little. He had his uncles there, his grandpa. They all owned this location. They lived there. It's a duplex. So, and the uncles were not good people. They were, some of them were in the military, but they were, I'm just going to say they were bad. They were really bad. And so it had all that history there. And then, now it's got whatever comes through the portal, it's crazy. A lot of
Do you
stuff.
think, I mean, you've definitely sold it for me on going and investigating it. Do you think they handle it responsibly? Do you think they have a pretty good handle on the location?
Yeah. Yes, the owner, he's pretty good at what he does. And I believe,
Oh,
yeah, I believe that the caretaker, which is the owner, he does have a handle on things. I mean, he's been at the location, I don't know, maybe 20 years now, but he's
oh wow.
constantly adding on to this location. He'll like have a dream of what to build, and then next thing you know, he's building more. So he's constantly adding to this location. I mean,
Interesting.
you got to see this place. It's amazing.
It reminds me of even though hers was through seances and mediums, but the Winchester
Yes.
mansion in California, she kept building and building for different reasons, but it's interesting. Oop.
Uh,
Yeah, that is an interesting connection between the two places.
Yeah. And for completely different reasons, one side,
Uh-oh.
she was doing it to trick them. He's doing it
Well,
in a way to balance them. Oh, there she is. She's back.
I'm
Hi,
back, guys.
Mandy.
I got full bars.
Yeah,
But
it's crazy right now.
well, they have a dragon portal table. They have a cave. They have the witches, the Earth Gate. All kinds of stuff at this location. It's pretty cool.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That
So,
sounds cool.
and it's
Definitely.
constantly stuff going on there. And it is, you want to go there and see something happen, you go there, you set your intention on what you want to see, you just might see something that, yeah,
Wow.
it's hard to explain it, but it is a unique place for sure.
Well, you've sold me on it, that's for sure. And I'll keep an eye out for the documentary. Sounds like it'll be a good time.
Yes, all the teasers. I just posted one today too, so it's number 5 episode of it. It's amazing. It's crazy what we captured.
Can you say anything about what you captured at all, or do you have to keep it hush hush?
No, I can say a little bit. It's basically on true crime, and it's a documentary of this location. It's called The Other Side of the Ewer Shrine. See, most people know it as the witches and elementals being there, spirits from the past, spirits from today, whatever. But this is based on what they think might have happened, what the uncles did. And they believe that the uncles committed some crimes. And they believe there's probably about 6 women tied to the location that went missing.
Oh wow.
So, and I've always connected with one of the girls. I mean, she's always yelling out my name to me, always talking to me, always something with her. But they're always coming through our devices to help, help. And it's always the women. And they're always talking about, they're saying they're in the mound, they're in the mound. There is a mound on this location, actually right behind the location.
Oh wow.
But it's not on his property. It's literally like as soon as you step out the gate. I mean, but they keep saying that they're in the mound and that Uncle Alan did something to them. And we got spirits saying this on recorders and through the spirit boxes.
Wow. Has anybody tried doing ground penetrating radar or anything to try and see?
Yeah.
No? Oh, that would be cool. If they can get somebody to let them do that to see what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot there. So, I mean, a lot of bad stuff. But the documentary's really good. They dive deep into that place.
And each of the uncles.
You said it was. You said it was done with Shane Pittman, though.
Shane Pittman and Sean Austin and Josh Purvis.
Just interesting because he just put out Beacon, another competitor.
Yeah. Yep. That was back
So
in January when we filmed it.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So you have go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say everybody. It was a good time. I had a lot of fun filming with everyone. I mean, we got a lot of good stuff, so it was really good.
Awesome. I'm excited to see it. Are you you're headed somewhere now too? You're going to someplace special?
Yes, we are heading to Staten Island, and then tomorrow we'll be in New York. JV Johnson, who is known as Paranormal Reality TV, has invited me and my husband. We're good friends with him, and us ladies have filmed with him a lot, and so we all become really good friends. And his son-in-law is one of the producers for Terrifier, the movie Terrifier, and they have a new movie coming out, and it's called Stream. Stream. And so this is the premiere we're going to, and there is a lot of famous actors in this. I've seen one of them, and I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name, but he's been in a lot of movies. So yeah, I already seen the trailer to it, and it looks really good.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting.
It is.
Did you get a gown dress? Are you going to dress up or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna be decked out. Yeah. I'll post pictures.
I'll look for him. That's cool. That sounds fun. Exciting. Really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're having a big party afterwards. Yeah. It'll be a lot of fun.
Have you ever so you've worked a lot in and done a lot of different films with different people. Is there anybody you really enjoy working with the most that you've become close friends with?
Yeah, Sean Austin. Yeah. We're always out there investigating. He comes to Ohio a lot. So when he comes to Ohio, he's always like, Mandy, you got any places in Ohio? You know I do. So I hook him up and we go investigating, and yeah, he was with us at the shrine, so yeah. He's really cool.
Talking about places in Ohio, I saw that you've gone to Prospect Place. I've investigated there too, had some experiences. What do you think of the place? Did you enjoy it?
The place was really active. It was a really good place. I want to go back, but they had a lot of bats.
Oh yeah.
I ran into a lot of bats. Yes. I'm telling you, I think because somebody left the windows open upstairs on the tower, I think there.
Yeah.
And it was probably just trying to cool the place off, I guess. But they forgot to close them, I think. And it was me and one other person investigating, and we ended up having about 5 bats following us all throughout the night. So it made it hard. But I want to go back. I plan on going back when it's a little cooler and hopefully the bats are gone. You know. But I captured a woman saying on, I made a reel. It's on Ghost Sisters. You might have seen it. As soon as we got upstairs, I started feeling like I couldn't catch my breath. I'm like, man, it's hard to breathe, you know. There was a woman, you hear her say, I can't breathe. And
Very
the only
cool.
person The only person who was with me was my stepdaughter, and we were the only ones there, and she was right there with me. She didn't even say anything. So the whole video, you could. I went back and watched it, listened to it, because I was like, wait a minute, was that her? And then I'm like, no, it wasn't her. She didn't say anything. So definitely, we believe that it was the lady who. There was a lady. We were right by her room, and I didn't know it until later on. Um, she was one of the ladies that got sick, and she had I think ammonia. I think that's what she
Pneumonia.
had. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I think it was her. I was right by her room when that happened.
Oh, that might have been I think it was the owner's daughter. I think it might have been the daughter that had
Yes.
that. That's how she passed away.
Yes.
That place, but you can be out of breath just walking up and down the stairs in that place. There's so many stairs going up and down.
Well, I'm a fitness person. I've been in fitness for 27 years. I'm in pretty good shape. I got good cardio and everything. I I didn't feel like I was out of breath at all. I just felt like something was. But the weird thing is, I kept hearing a man talking, too. I heard a man from a distance. I didn't even hear. It was weird because I didn't hear her at the time until after going back. It was
Yeah.
the man. I even said on the live, I'm like, I hear a man talking, and I'm like, what? So it was weird.
Well, to validate you, when we were investigating, we were coming down the stairs and we were talking about how because it was freezing that night we were there, and we were talking about how we're so glad we brought paper towels, and we caught a Class A EVP that says, "Hey, I've got some," and it was a male voice. So then that was up at the landing, up to the second level. So yeah, if that's to validate for you, then there definitely is a male voice coming through as well.
I kept hearing him. I kept hearing the man. I didn't really hear the female. It was the man. I felt like he was following me, and I kind of was wondering. He knew that, spirits can read your mind. I'm a true believer of that, and they know every time I'm out there investigating that I don't like bats. I would never harm a bat, but I'm terrified of these bats when I'm out there in the field, and it's like they come out of nowhere. It's just every time.
It was worse for us in the basement, but they didn't have the windows open at the time. But I was clipped. I caught it on thermal, so the anomaly was a bat flying, so it flew at me and then clipped my ear and passed me by. So yeah, they're not afraid of us when we go in there.
It was in the house. We went in the basement. We didn't run into none. It was all, outside and in the house. And I'm like, I need a bat hat. Somebody said they're going to make me a bat hat. So,
little football helmet the next time you go.
with some netting or something around it.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a good leg workout because I was ducking low. I was literally, yeah. My husband's laughing at me.
We have a co-investigator. She hides. She crouches behind people because she's terrified of bats. She covers her head with the hoodie, and she won't look out until we're clear of bats.
Yep. I'm literally like, I'm doing squats and I'm walking. I'm like, oh no, and they're still around. It's crazy. We had to shut the door to keep the bat from getting in there. We had to lock ourselves into a room and investigate. Couldn't even go in the barn. I was like, man.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
We were outside of the barn, but we went out there twice. We dealt with it. I said, I'll deal with the bats outside. I said, but inside I can't. They're all over.
Have you ever experienced JD bats? Have you ever had that one-on-one encounter?
Yeah, I did an investigation at Alfred University here in Western New York, and the place that's called the Castle is running rapid with bats at this time, and they were flying and swarming and swooping down at us when we were in the building.
No.
For me, it's spiders. I don't know how you feel about spiders, but man, if I walk through a web, forget it. Or if I turn and look and there's a giant spider on the wall, that's it. I can't. I'll still investigate. Nothing's going to really stop me, but I may not go into a certain space
Well,
if it's full.
it's not usually spiders, it's always the bats. But we did a residential case in Kentucky, and it was a friend of ours. And we don't usually travel outside of Ohio to do residential cases. We stay close to us.
Yeah.
But a friend of ours, her family had a cabin in Kentucky. She wanted us to go. So I was like, yeah, it's Kentucky. We'll do a road trip. Let's do it. So we went, and we were down in the basement. Now, I should have known better. We're down in the basement, and there was another lady who was with us that used to be on my team. And her and I was down in the basement. This was just this year, too. And I turn around, and I'm live, and come face to face. I mean, literally face to face. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this thing alive or dead? I don't know. What a big wolf spider.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh no.
And it didn't move. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I backed up, man. I was like, no. So I told the owner, I said, hey man, I'm like, I don't know if I ran into this huge spider. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's dead or alive. And he's like, oh. And he goes down there, and he's like, well, we spray, so we don't usually have that problem. I said, what is that? He said, it's a wolf spider. It's a wolf spider. What? Well, at the end of the night, because we spent the night there, we weren't going to, but we did. The guy went down and sprayed that basement, caused all those wolf spiders to come up. Yeah. And when we ended up getting done with the live, they were crawling on the walls and everything. And we actually made a video because we captured it. And the guy smacked the one guy hit it with his hand, and it fell. And I mean, it was as big as our palm, as my hand.
Yeah.
Girl, my sister was like, let's pack up and go now. We'll get a hotel. Let's go.
I would have done the same thing.
I was like, man, that guy's like, no, you guys, it'll be all right. I'm like, dude, they're in your kitchen, and we're going to be right next to the kitchen here. He's like, there's no cobwebs here. And I'm like, I look over into the corner where the beds was, and I see this cobweb. I was like, really? So we ended up staying, but you know what I did? I scooted my bed away from the walls.
I would have done the same thing. I wouldn't have stayed. So you were braver than I am.
Listen, it took all I had to stay at that location, and the guy felt bad. He felt bad.
Aww.
He did.
Oh.
Yeah. That's
Oh no. They're supposed to be harmless, but I just can't.
They're
can't.
fast.
Yeah.
They don't.
Fast.
No, they don't mess around. They're fast.
Well, they're gigantic too, so they can cover a lot of area. That's terrifying. Oh my gosh. I'm impressed. So what so I also noticed you investigated I've never heard of this place, so forgive me, Paranormal World, if this is a popular place and I have no idea, but the Broadwell Funeral Home, I noticed you investigated there too in Felicity, Ohio.
Yes. And actually, when you mentioned earlier some of my most memorable places, I forgot to mention that is one of them too, because I've had a lot of stuff happen there. Just so much, I just can't remember every location.
Oh yeah, totally.
So, but yes, that place is very active. Very.
Is there anything in particular about it that drew you to investigate there? Or, I mean, other than it being a funeral home, the obvious. Was there a particular piece of evidence or anything that made you want to?
A girl who used to be on my team, at that time, she was dating somebody who was on a different team, and the location was still new at the time, and he had been there. So he invited us to go, and we ended up going. So apparently the male spirit that's very dominant there doesn't like females. So when we booked that location, when we booked that location the first time we ever went, let's just say it was really crazy. I mean, this guy was, I mean, I felt bad because I put my sister, who's skeptic, down in the basement. We blindfolded her. We put a live on her. She's in the dark. We had some equipment around her. And, you know, we had some stuff happening a little bit, nothing major. But it was later on what had happened is what really freaked me out. And I felt bad after what happened. So what happened was we had a camera set up down there, and I had a recorder. And when we were done recording the live, we were getting our cameras, packing everything up. Me and the girl that used to be on my team, Jenny, I'm like, Jenny, come with me downstairs because that basement's creepy. Most basements are, but this basement is really, really creepy. They used to do, I think, I believe they used to do the prep the bodies down there.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. The embalming.
And
That.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, the embalming, everything, prepping them. So it's just a creepy place. But so anyway, we were going down there. The lights were still on. I was going down first, and she was behind me. And I didn't even get halfway down the stairs. I heard two disembodied voices, and I mean, they were classic A's. I mean, because I captured it on the recorder too.
Yeah.
So I heard the two disembodied voices with my ears. You hear from two different directions. You hear one guy, real nice. He's like, "Hey, ladies." And I'm like, and I just paused. You know, I'm like, what the? And then you hear this guy, he was angry. He said, "Get out of my house." Really mean. I'm like, and at that point, I was like, Jenny, because we heard boom, boom, boom. It sounded like somebody was
Oh.
banging on something and like running up the stairs behind us. Because I'm like, go on, girl, something's. You know, I was freaking out. I heard it. We heard the banging. I'm pushing her up the stairs, or I'm about to run her over, because it freaked me out. It really startled me. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting it. So we get up there. I go towards my sister's, and Jenny went the opposite direction. And what we found out was we ended up taking a picture before we left. She had no marks on her. None of us did at the time. But the next day when she woke up, there was like marks on her face. It almost looked like a handprint. So
Holy.
we think something got her, and it didn't
Yeah.
get me. And when she went back to that location another time, Spirit came through the box, and her spirit box, and told her that she asked who was it that slapped her, and the man came through and he said, "I slapped that bee." I don't want to say the word, but
Ooh,
called her a
yeah.
bee. So I mean, but what we captured on the recorder was everything I just told you that happened when we were heading down the stairs. I caught it all, everything, the loud banging, the two disembodied voices, and everything. So
Wow.
it was crazy.
That's awesome, because usually it's kind of like you hear it but you don't catch it, or you catch it and you didn't hear it at the time. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
That's really
Yep.
cool.
You hear it really clear.
I'm just picturing you running, trying to make a run for it. It's like everybody has to do it at least one time.
Well,
You
I
hear
do
something
get,
and
yeah, you're right. I get
yeah,
spooked.
yeah,
You know, as a medium, I feel like they come around me a lot more, you know, and if I do an
yeah,
isolation, if I'm alone somewhere, it's even more, you know. So
yeah,
I get spooked easily, but I don't like say, "Oh, I'm leaving, I'm not coming back." No, depending how bad the situation is, I will remove myself from that area,
yeah,
but I'm still investigating, or I'll have somebody
yeah.
go, or I'll go back and like, "Come on, we need to go back, we need to check this out, but you're coming with me," you know.
Yeah, totally. So it's like that reset when you step away from the energy and you come back. It's like you've set that boundary, and you're
Yes.
good to go again. That's a good practice to do, especially in a situation that can be a little bit more sketchy, I guess.
Apparently, for the Broadwell Funeral Home, the page was created in 2020, so it's been around for 4 years. and apparently it was on Death Walker,
Oh yeah,
so it is
never saw.
moderately well known.
I've got to make a trip down there now to Felicity. Sorry,
It's right by
paranormal world.
I think
Cincinnati.
I think he's running a special right now. I think it's usually um, I think it's usually 350 to investigate there, and you get it all night. But
Oh wow.
I think they're running a special unless it's ended. He might have extended it. I'm not for sure, so don't hold me to it. But I think it's 250 right now for that location. But I could be wrong. But it's worth it. Worth it.
Yeah, especially since everything's been getting so expensive these days in terms for investigations. That's a really
Yeah.
good. That's really reasonable.
Yes. Yeah.
So, what about when you so have you ever so what do you think about first, I know you had your sister who experienced the hand mark. Have you ever experienced with anyone on your team or yourself scratches, and what are your thoughts, especially as being a medium, on whether the scratches are demonic or not demonic?
Um, you know, I think it just depends on where you're at because if you get scratched, it doesn't. Oh, a lot of people will jump to demonic right away, but for me, depending where you're at, because I believe they try to get your attention. So, you might get scratched or you could get touched or something. I mean, I don't always look at it as that, especially if you're dealing with special needs children. They are the ones who like to scratch, and we know that for a fact because we've investigated places where they were, and they would do that, you know. But I've had a couple marks on me. I've had 3 marks on me, but I never felt like it was anything bad. I just felt like either I made someone mad or they were just trying to get my attention. So,
Yeah, I think sometimes too, like if we, like my experience, something comes running at me screaming or yelling, sometimes it's just somebody running to get your attention. And that's like, is it just as if anybody was far away trying to get your attention and screaming and yelling. It's not always scary, that experience. It's just them trying to get to you in any way they can. We forget that they used to be human, you know,
yes,
and they had vulnerabilities at the time too, and we have to show them that respect and not just automatically think they're a demon, so without careful consideration.
yes. I've investigated, a lot of places, a lot. I always get something different. Sometimes, I might not get like a whole lot of stuff, but most of the time I walk away with something. Something.
It's probably because you're a medium, I think so. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And, we just investigated a bar in Ohio just Sunday night. And so we ended up, the reason we went to this bar that's located in Gallion, Ohio, it's called the TNT Bar, was because on July 21st of this year, the bar owners, they're remodeling this location. And they have security cameras up. And they had they kept getting alarms going off, and when they checked to see what was going on, they seen what looked like somebody sitting upstairs, and the lady started freaking out. Who's upstairs? Nobody's supposed to be up there. So her daughter was the only one there working at the time, and there was maybe 2 customers downstairs. So the mother goes there. She's like, "Who's upstairs?" And they're like, "Nobody. The door's been locked for 3 days." So they had to find the key because the door was locked. And when they found it, they went up there and nobody was up there. But they sent me that video the day that they captured that, and that's why we went to this location. So it turned out the upstairs was so active. Out of the whole place, the upstairs was off the chain. And we actually captured. Now, this could be a coincidence. I don't really believe in coincidences no more. I used to, but no, I don't now. I believe everything happens for a reason. But we ended up capturing. My sister took a cardboard and it had duct tape on it. She stuck it to one of the bar stools. Why, I can't remember why she did it, but she had it actually like standing up, sticking to the chair so it wouldn't fall off. Well, when we were up there investigating, I kept noticing on my live, it was moving. And I'm like, what is that moving over there? You know? And yeah, my sister's like, oh, it's that cardboard. I'm like, do you guys see it moving? And she's like, no. I'm like, I'm telling you, I know I've seen it moving. So I've seen it twice. So I'm like, man, that board, I don't know what's going on with that. I need to check this out, whatever, you know. So I go over there and I was going to push down and make sure it was secure just in case it was to fall off or get whatever, you know. So I
Yeah.
go over there and my sister's like, Mandy, I taped that down. It's on that chair. And actually, it was propped up. So when I walked over there, it was like hanging. Not so much. It was like half on the chair and then half off. And so I'm like, well, I need to look at this. This could be gravity setting in and the tape's giving, you know, it's getting loose. So I said, well, I have to try to debunk this, you know. So I go over there and I'm looking and I show everybody on my live. I'm like, I said, that is taped. And I showed everybody. I said, okay, so it's taped down, really secure. Soon as I turned around and walked away, you hear that tape. It sounded like it was ripped up, and then I caught the board. It just went. So, could it have been a coincidence? It's very, very. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you hear what I
Sometimes,
said? Did you catch?
yeah, could it have been a coincidence, or, yeah. So it's, if
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense. Sometimes you eliminate so many things, there's no other explanation.
It was just weird because it was secure. It was taped down, and
Yeah, yeah.
it was just as soon as I walked away, that they just ripped up, you know, and we're like, what? And they kept telling me to leave it alone. I was going to piss off a spirit by going over there. I was like, whatever, I'm going over here.
Did they ever figure out, do they have any idea who the male energy might be?
Well, that used to be a biker bar about the years.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
oh, you froze for a second.
Oh,
Oh, there you
yeah,
are.
it's cut out.
We heard biker bar.
It used to be, yeah, it used to be a biker bar. It was also a train stop. It was built in 1910, and then I think they either added onto it in 1921, but it was a train stop first, and then it was a bar. Throughout many of the years it was open, it was a bar, and it was also a restaurant. So it's been several bars and a biker bar and a restaurant. So yeah, it had a lot of history, and it's right next to a train tracks, and people get drunk drinking, and there
Yeah,
could have been all kinds of things that happened.
yeah.
Leaving that place. I actually was connected with a male spirit there, and I got that something happened to him when he left, that he was followed. And it was really interesting because the lady who owns the location, her daughter confirmed that, because she knew the guy that had something happen to him. I didn't know anything about it. And she confirmed that I was right. There was somebody who actually got, they got, I want to be careful what I say on your podcast. So they got
Yeah, yeah.
hurt. And Spirit actually came through our intercom, said they were hurt. This was all like within seconds apart. The guy come through and he said, I'm hurt. And he said what happened to him. And that lady was
Oh,
with
wow.
us that night we were investigating. And she said, oh my gosh. She couldn't believe that was coming through the intercom box. But it did. Clear,
Wow,
very
that's
clear.
crazy. Do you feel that it might have been the same person from your reading that they saw in the video?
That, I think, was someone else. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really think it was. Because I think it's an older man that
Okay.
was sitting at the bar where they catch that. It was a man. But it's a pretty cool video to watch, because see somebody sitting there and they're moving. You can see them moving.
Wow. Was it on night vision or was it color camera? Do you remember by chance?
Um, it's one of those owl cameras, I guess. You know what I'm talking
Okay.
about?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
it was.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. So that was
I
while
find
we
it
were at that location.
that's I find it fascinating too how certain parts of the building are fine. There's no experiences, and then one particular section is the one that experiences the most activity. Or you go to a different location and the activity moves. It's crazy in one section one time, it's crazy in another section another time. Do you have you had those experiences?
Somebody
Do you
mentioned
feel
it.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that happens a lot in locations. You'll feel it more. We'll get more activity in one area and then go another area, nothing. It's just some reason it just seems like certain areas in a location is where they like to linger, I guess.
Yeah. What do you think about like mirrors as portals and things like that in your experience?
Well, they say, mirrors are portals, gateways. Is it, I mean, I personally, is there any scientific to back it up? I don't really know. We won't know until our time comes, I guess,
Right.
but, but, you know, it could be. You know, I've heard through my spirit boxes, spirits had said, um, that mirrors were portals. They've said it numerous times. So,
Well, there's something there. If it's answering you in that way, it's hard not to
and
think that that's a possibility then.
I'm very picky on my spirit boxes that I'll use. I get really intelligent responses with the ones that we use. So it's like right on point. I mean, very intelligent responses.
Is there a particular one you like the most of the spirit boxes?
I really love my ink box made by Katie Stafford, Supernatural Ink. And I love the intercom box made by Jay Prather. And it's also a direct link, so spirits can use my energy.
Ooh.
But yeah, it's pretty sweet. So you with his box, with Jay Prather's box, the intercom box, all radio stations. So there's no radio communication supposed to come through his box. He said it happen? It's very rare. So he says you're supposed to get direct response from spirits. And you don't get all that loud noises of it sweeping through the radio stations. It's really clear. I love it. The ink box, I love it. I don't want to say favorites, but I got a connection with that ink box. And they have a shortwave one, shortwave two, and then it has the radio on it. But it's a very unique. Looks like an '80s boombox. It's really cool.
Did you say it looks like an 80s boombox? We lost you for a
Um,
second. Ah, very cool.
yes.
Do you hold it up in the
Yes.
air over your head and wait for responses?
It's you know what? It's crazy because I will touch this box. Uh-oh, I lost everyone. I
We
can
can
hear
still
you
hear you.
guys. Okay.
Can you hear us?
So yeah, I hear you guys. You keep going in and out. But I touch the box and it's like I give it energy. When you touch the box, you give it energy, just like the intercom box. It's the same thing. It's really unique. But we use it a lot in the field, and it's called the. They made a couple different ones, but I've got the original ink box, which is called the OG. They call it the
Ah,
OG.
very cool. That's that's fun, especially when you have a piece of equipment you really connect with. And I like that it uses your energy too in that way. Do you feel like being a medium too? You can connect with it. I think that sounds weird. I can't think of a better way to not just with like your energy, but connect in a way, like a channeling way.
Yes, actually, I do. Um, I think it might have something to do with that, possibly. I mean, because they have to have energy to, communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of energy. So I feel like they just, I don't know. They love my energy, I guess. I don't know.
JD, do you have a question you may want to ask, or I've been monopolizing her attention?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've included the things I wanted to mention and ask about. We ended up talking about quite a few different locations, including some new ones. So.
Oh, very cool. Um, when you worked in law enforcement, do your law enforcement friends that you used to have or that you had at the time, did they give you a hard time for the paranormal, or?
It's interesting because when I first started Ghost Sisters, there was a friend of mine that I worked with in law enforcement. She was with us for about a year, 2 years, and then she ended up starting her own team. So she was with me. But yeah, but they ended up liking what we were doing and watching us, following us. And I even went to my lieutenant's house and investigated her place a couple times. Yeah.
You made believers out of them.
But I was having all kinds of experiences at that location where I worked at. And the spirits were following me from there. And I would hear them when I was working. I'm like, oh, no. I would hear signal 4, and I'm like, oh no signals, please. And then it would be like 5 minutes after signal 4, they're calling, and it was like all hell's breaking loose. Yeah.
Oh man.
They were my radios, everything when I was working at the location. They followed me to haunted locations.
Wow. Like, how did you know they followed you? What did they come through, like spirit
Can you hear me?
boxes, or did you see them or feel them?
So what happened was I was working down in female housing at the time because where I worked at, there was males and females we housed. And so it was the weekend and we had an investigation at the Gill House in Gallion. It's a mansion. And so I was going to meet the team there because I had to work. So I wanted to go from work, go straight there. So I changed. I was at work and I went to the locker room. And as soon as I walked in there, I was like, oh no, I knew something was in there. So I was a little creeped out because it sounded like almost like a pebble hitting one of the lockers. You could hear it bouncing off metal, like ting. And I was like, what the hell? I was the only one in there. And so I hurried up and got dressed. And when I was getting dressed, after I went to the restroom, and when I was in the restroom, I heard this loud noise, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what the heck is that? Well, when I came out to wash my hands, the soap bottle was knocked into the sink. And I was like, oh, hell no, I'm getting out of here. So, yeah. So I got my stuff and I hurried up, get in my car. And when the team got there, I was telling them what happened. And I told my friend at the time who worked with me at the place I'm talking about. I said, look, something followed me. I said, something's here. Something's followed me. Well, later on when we were investigating, I said to this guy, I felt like there was a male spirit around us. And I said, what is my name? Can you tell me my name? This guy came through and he goes, Metzger. At the time, I wasn't married yet, but he was calling me by my last name.
So not just your first name, by your last name.
He did not. He didn't say my first name at all. My last name. Clear as day, we captured that. And I said, oh my gosh, I told you guys somebody followed me. And
Wow.
yeah, so who calls me by my last name, at that time was inmates.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, and he said it, he yelled through that spirit box. Clear, very clear. And I had it happen again. Um, we're, we are allowed to sometimes go and investigate the common police courthouse in our hometown.
Oh,
The
cool.
judge follows us. He loves us, and this place is still up and running. It's a courthouse, and I've transported inmates there. So we investigated one night, captured a female on the recorder saying my last name. So yeah, it's pretty, you know, it's crazy.
It's good you get that validation,
Yeah.
because you feel it, you know that it's with you, that it followed you, and then you get the validation through the spirit box. That's good, and it's recorded. That's good stuff.
Yes. Well, and stuff doesn't just have to happen at nighttime. I had stuff happening to me
Yeah,
during the day when I'm at work. One time
yeah.
I went to give one of the officers a break, and this was when I was working on first shift. I went down to female housing to give her a break, and she says, "Now, Mandy, I'm already hearing some weird stuff down here. Now, don't you be doing anything down here. Get these spirits all routed up." I'm not going to do that. So, you know, she goes to break, and I'm watching about 40 cameras. I got watching all the females, and I'm alone inside oh, um, the room. I forget what they called it, but what's that room called? Control room. I'm in the control room. The radio's on because they let you listen to radios, get bored. So, next thing I know, the radio stops, and I hear nothing but white noise coming through this radio. And I hear this male spirit. This is no lie. I hear this guy. He says, "Help me," clear as day. And then he said it again. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I turn around and I start walking towards the radio. And I'm like, does somebody need my help? Boom. Radio kicks back on. Nothing. Nothing.
Man.
Yeah. And I told her, I was like, I hate to tell you this. I told her what happened, and she was not happy. And then I called down to Mel Housing to tell the girl that was on my team. She was working Mel Housing. I said, "You'll never believe what just happened."
That's crazy. That reminds me, do you remember that old movie Frequency? A long time ago, where he talks
Yes.
with his father in the past through the radio? It's
Oh.
it's almost in a way like that too. Was it a spirit? Could have been, time, something with time bending, like, yeah, folding over. Like, that's crazy to
Well,
just be.
yeah, they did it a lot working in law enforcement. They would come through the radios, and I would have
Wow.
people calling me wherever I was working at. The officers would call down to where I was at and say, "Did you hear that over the radio?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did, but I didn't know what it was."
Wow.
They were freaking out because they were like, "That was none of us." And this would be when there would only be 7 officers there. It would usually be when on a holiday when there wasn't a lot of people
Yeah.
there. So we would know who was accounted for. So we'd be like, "Okay, this person was here, there. If it wasn't them that keyed the mic, what was it?"
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, I assume with that line of work that there's probably other officers that go back to keep an eye on everyone,
Yes.
at least part of the time.
Yeah, I've saved a lot of people when I worked, at this location, and there was a lot of things happen in these jails, So yeah, this jail was really active. I was hearing the spirits all the time,
A lot
They
of
followed me
trauma.
home. Yeah,
Yeah.
they would follow me home, and I'm like, oh no. And my husband works in law enforcement, and I'm like, you're bringing them home too.
Because they know that he's coming home to you.
They remember me.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. I do.
Oh, the spirit finds a way. They will find a way.
Yes.
So, JD, how are we doing? Are we at that time? I always go over.
Yeah, we're past an hour at this point.
Yeah, he's ready. Look at him. He's
He's-
getting ready.
What's up?
She said, "Look at you. You're ready to go. You're."
Ready to sleep.
He's had a long day. We've all had craziness. Him with his work, the tornadoes here. You're traveling. I'm like, it's amazing how we all managed to come together into this one spot. I love it. It was a great experience. I'm glad I was able to connect.
Yeah. Thank
It
you
was
for
fun
reaching out.
talking with you. I really enjoyed it. And I hope to keep in contact in the future too. I really enjoyed communicating with you.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for watching.
Say hi to your sisters for us.
I will.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Good
All right,
night.
guys.